We originally were going to hear from Bjorn Stigson, who is the president of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development based in Geneva. His wife got ill and he was unable to join us. But just quick, so I'm going to sort of be a surrogate briefly. Please join us, guys. But before I explain what I'm going to do there, let me introduce the other people who are going to be part of this official onstage conversation. Neither of them need tons of introduction. Jim Breyer. Both of these guys are good friends of mine who I really am so pleased to have here. Jim's on the board of Facebook at Accel Partners, sorry.
Good enough.
It is Accel Partners,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Each VC firm has their own way. But somebody who's deeply involved in global business. Accel has offices around the world. Chen is CEO of Sybase, which just last Thursday closed its sale to SAP. So he's now a Chinese-American leader of an American company owned by a German company. So he's kind of got a global view.
I got resumes outside.
Yeah, that's, who knows? We'll see what happens on that. That'll be interesting to watch. So anyway, I'm going to push my buttons here. What happened with Bjorn was Peter Petrie and Simone and I, all in sort of New York editorial team for Techonomy, met with him 6 months ago or so, and he showed us this slide presentation. Bjorn is an interesting guy because he is an official advisor both to the Chinese State Council on energy policy and to several US government bodies, where he is uniquely a Swede who lives in Switzerland who advises both the Chinese and the Americans at the top government level on energy policy. So that's kind of an interesting point of view, and he, as a result of that point of view and being a very global person, the World Business Council being a group of many of the world's largest companies that are all trying to conduct their business in an effectively sustainable manner. But he really got this point of view that the US was really falling behind. So that's kind of what this slide deck is briefly going to display. We called it a global message to America. I'm not going to show all the slides. I'm just going to show some of them because I sort of picked out the highlights. I just want you to get the basic message, and then we're going to have a discussion which is going to include all of you. So, some of this stuff is pretty obvious to a lot of us. Stuart talked about a lot of these things in his book. Obviously, the world is getting very crowded. There's a lot of challenges involved with that. The less developed population is really rapidly rising, and more developed countries basically staying the same. These startling but unfortunately increasingly familiar statistics about the number of people who are poor, don't have electricity, transportation, et cetera, not going to dwell on this. This is an interesting slide. This is one of my two favorites. So this is one of the reasons Bjorn gets kind of hot and bothered. You look at where the money is being spent on infrastructure. We think we are the leaders in this country of everything, right? Well, that ain't the case. And we all know that the new stuff is what's going to be the best stuff. So whoever gets the new stuff is going to have the best infrastructure. And it's not going to be here. So that's the basic point of that. I think we've seen enough of that. But anyway, so, and here's an interesting one too. Share of GDP. Wait a minute, what is this now? The point is that emerging economies are becoming a higher and higher percentage of the global GDP. That's basically what that shows. By 2025, really what we call the emerging economies, led primarily by China, but also India, Brazil, will be the disproportionate mass of the global economy. So the world is turning green. The green race is on. This is also not a shocking concept, but it's an important one to keep in mind. So what's happening? This is where Bjorn really gets interested because he is actually helping to plan this stuff that's in this slide as one of the only non-Chinese people on this State Council Committee on Energy Strategy. So, if you read Tom Friedman, this is also not highly shocking data. He's been pretty seriously focusing on this in his most recent book and in his column in the Times. Wen Jiabao is obviously focused as an engineer and as one of the many engineers that runs China on the need to develop a more wealth for the country without using any more energy than necessary, because he understands that it's going to be more efficient in every respect, both for China and the world. John Doerr, who we're going to hear later tonight, says China is winning. Then there's a few more data points here about China solar growth, unbelievable market share. That is an astonishing thing. 50% compared to 3% 3 years ago in solar. That is mind-blowing, okay? Wind doubled wind generation capacity in 1 year. Overtook the US in 2009, wind stuff. Clean energy, number one, 21% of the $162 billion US dollars invested globally. That's serious. Now, just a few other country or regional looks. EU is leading in green technology, according to Bjorn's data. 300% increase in R&D for green technologies was just announced as a region. Not even sure the spending is sufficient, and they might need to go even faster. Just another little quick look at South Korea. Explosive growth in renewable energy installed capacity. Another country that's taking it seriously. That's the point of that slide. Then we come to my favorite slide of all. This is really cool. I mean, on the the horizontal axis is Human Development Index. So on the far left, the orange dots are, Mali, and Bangladesh, right? And then you go up, and U.S. is green up in the top. But what does it mean on the vertical axis is ecological footprint. So the problem is everybody has to be in the little blue box. Nobody's in the little blue box, okay? That's the problem. I mean, this is hardly shocking to anybody who's read Stewart's book or a bunch of other things, but it's important at this conference, I think, to reiterate this is grave global policy challenge. Okay, so that's, the US has much at stake. Now, this is where Bjorn, as a non-American, says, hey, these Americans are not really focusing on this very much. And this is the final, this is the only last slide. The US could get a lot of benefits by focusing more on green technology, okay? So that's the slides. Now, I want to start with asking John, what do you think of that point of view?
The point of view about the U.S. is behind?
Oh, anything. The thing about conferences is as long as it's interesting up here, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so you and I chatted, and I think if you look at the chart, I mean, by the way, congratulations for taking a 2-hour conversation into 10 minutes. That's great.
I'm not a big PowerPoint fan, to be honest.
These charts clearly tells us that this is not a U.S., Europe, zone, China, South Korea issues. This is, everybody needs to go in a blue box. There are only 1 or 2 mathematical equations that could make that happen. One, we kill everybody else, so we're the only one. Then we will, by definition, it will be in some kind of box. It will work. Okay, well, since that's probably not practical, so we're going to have to look at it like a World Health Organization's looking at SARS or some disease of sorts. And we're not doing that because everybody has a national policy and interest, in their heart. And I think this is one of those things that we got to solve the big problem first, and then figure out how we could grab a better share than everybody else.
Wait, what's the big problem we'll solve?
Well, the big problem is, we just don't have enough resources. And energy is part of resources, and water is part of resources, and we just don't have enough resources to keep all the economy going the way we like it, which is the blue box. Right? I mean, if you live in the blue box, you should be able to innovate, should be able to make life better for everybody else. Sometimes I look at that $2 thing. I mean, not to offend any friends here from OECD or WTO or any sorts. I often wonder whether those people who live under $2 a day, the question is, are they less happy? This is a different topic.
Well, that goes to one of David Christian's points.
I mean, from our standard, they shouldn't be happy. But some of those people are actually quite happy. We need to, that's, again, a different topic at a different time. But my view is, really do that. Now, another question is how. I mean, this is easy to point all these things out. And, it starts with government policy. I mean, I think the issue with we behind is a government policy issue. And I'm going to pass it back to you because otherwise, I speak for 2 hours nonstop. So
far, you're okay.
I'm okay. Just stop me anytime. I will not be. I think the key is, since we are looking at our national interests and try to solve global problems, right there is a mismatch. And so let's suppose we could overcome that, and we say, well, how do you overcome it? I think I've been, in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, been pushing this whole issue of bilateral investment treaty. Now, why did I do that? Because I think we ought to make sure that, everybody's problem is each other's problem. China has a problem that they're solving, and that, by the way, and for those of you, and I know a lot of you knows a lot about China. Its problem from Wen Jiabao's preview is no less daunting than any of our problem. So 50%, 3%. Those are all interesting statistics.
Could I interrupt for a second?
Yep.
What I should have said before is probably if you're looking at U.S. business leaders who talk to the Chinese leadership, there are none who do it more than him. He really knows these guys. So listen to when he talks about Wen Jiabao, he's probably heard it directly from him. Anyway, go on.
One of the things I learned is not to tell people whom I have met, because once I said that publicly, that will be the last time I met them.
Yeah, but we could guess.
Anyway, as you all know very well, and moving right along, I think so. The issue really is how do I make everybody feels that these are my problem by having a stake of their economy, their infrastructures, and by owning a piece of that, by having them own a piece of us. And all these little trade wars and all these, I just gone through selling our United States company to a German company, and the filing process, the longest filing process is actually not with DOJ of any sorts. It's actually with the, the Congress, congressional administration, who focus on first national security issues and national agenda. As an American, I absolutely respect that and welcome it, but the attitudes, it's a little bit of a problematic, and which is us versus they. Now, we talk about Germany. Germany, by the way, share military intelligence with the United States, and we have to go through that process in a very long time. But that's a different issue. So you all know that the Chinese, for example, the Huawei issues, most recently tried to bid on the Motorola wireless business, offered more money, didn't get it, because the Motorola board had decided that this is not the best interest of the shareholders because there's no guarantee of there's a surety of the deal because of the CFIUS filing requirement. And now, this does not go unnoticed. I don't know how many people know that Coca-Cola tried to buy a juice company in China last year that had been turned down by the Ministry of something over there. And
Just in a retaliatory manner?
I think it's for tick for tack. Personal view. They didn't call me and tell me that, by the way.
Yeah. That's what you said.
Right. I really believe that it's a tick for tack. Coca-Cola is has $2 billion business over there. They invest a lot of money over there and then promise to invest a lot of money over there and has a deal turned down to buy a juice company. Juice.
That's strategic, man.
And this is because right after, we turned down Bain and Huawei for the Freecom business. This tick for tack guarantee us, United States, us Euro, us Japan, us everybody, to draw a boundary. Once you draw a boundary, now we're going to have our new version of arm races to solve the green problem. It'll never be solved.
It's not going to be solved.
It's not going to be solved in time for all of us. That's my speculation. I'm not an expert of any kind, but that's my problem. My problem is the macro environment and the government regulatory environment and the mindset of the governments, not just ours. A lot of the other governments is forcing this problem not efficiently solvable. But anyway,
Okay.
I got to stop.
No, that's good. You said a lot of good stuff. So, Jim.